If you had told me as a little girl that I would grow up to be a professional MMA fighter, I don't think I would have believed you. Or if I had, I would have thought something had gone terribly, terribly wrong. You see, I was such a peacemaker. I don't think I ever would have believed that I would have fought people for a living and been happy about it. But add to that, I did not have the most confidence as a little girl. That's not entirely true. In some ways, I was very confident, but I was never one who liked to have much attention. I tended to blend into the background, and people who knew me when I was young could tell you that that was often the case. I was the youngest of three, and that was just my default role. I sat back and I watched and I observed and I let everything else happen while I hid in the background. Fast forward to today, and fighting is quite literally my job. It all started, well, if you want to know where it all started, you can watch my previous video, how I went from a marathon runner to an MMA fighter, and that will give you the story of how I got into MMA. The short version is I was looking for a change of pace. My husband thought that I would really enjoy MMA. He recommended it. I thought it was a terrible idea, but decided to give it a go anyway, and he was right. I absolutely loved it, and I'm really good at it. In just over 2 years, I went from being a brand new mom who had never done martial arts before to the two-time European champion and BMF's very first female champion. I had 4 belts to my name, and I was addicted. I reached a point where I loved MMA so much I couldn't imagine doing anything else, even though it didn't pay the bills by any means. It cost me so much money. It's the most expensive hobby that you could find. That's not true. I'm sure there are others. It's an extremely expensive hobby and maybe an even more expensive career. I don't know. But I got to this point where I loved it so much. My husband and I made this decision to go for it, to give it everything. We said, I have a limited time in my life to be able to do something like this. It's such an amazing opportunity. And we said that we would treat it like my full-time job until it actually became so. And it's amazing to look back now and to think about that time and how that's paid off. My recovery, my training materials, my time, my rest, my sleep, nutrition, I acted as if this was my career. And we decided that if I was going to go for it, I had to properly go for it and give it everything that I had, because I never wanted to look back and wonder, what if? Could I have done it? Could I have made it? I was really fortunate that I was able to get a few sponsors on board that helped fund a little bit of my training and recovery, and that I had my husband who worked very, very hard at his job in order to support me pursuing this crazy pursuit. And sure enough, it worked. This is my life now. I lost my first amateur fight, and it was a hard loss. I struggled with that one. I won my second fight by second round, technical knockout, and I went on from there to win multiple belts and championships, and it was working. I was climbing the ranks and climbing them fast and climbing them well. So fast forward to December of 2023. Yes, fast forward to December 2023. And I had 4 belts to my name, and I was trying to sort out what was next. One of the promotions that I fought for quite a lot back then, BMF, highly recommend. BMF had offered me my next title opportunity, and they'd essentially said that I could either fight to defend my strawweight title for them, or I could drop to atomweight and earn the atomweight title as well, because why not? And as I thought about it, I'm going to be honest, this may sound really obnoxious or really arrogant, but I wasn't interested. I was bored of winning belts. I'd won so many belts at that point, and the amateur ranking was small and limited. And I thought, I wanted the next big challenge. I wanted to go pro. So that's when I spoke with Connor from BMF, and we talked about opportunities and what was next. And he was totally on board. They backed me from the beginning. And in a few months, I had my pro debut lined up, and it was awesome. I remember at one point that evening, I was sitting in a room full of big, giant fighting men, and there's just little me sitting in the corner, looking around, feeling out of place, frankly. But suddenly it occurred to me, I was the co-main event on that card. And the co-main and the main events, those are the ones that they put at the end of the shows because they expect people to stick around for them. Those are the fights worth seeing. And not only that, I was one of, I think, maybe 2 professional fights on that card. And it suddenly occurred to me that every man in that room was dreaming of making it to the professional rankings. And there I was. I had done it. I was there. I was a professional MMA fighter, which is just wild, absolutely bizarre. But I was. And that night was one of the most fun nights, one of the coolest nights of my life. And I went out and I won. And it meant so much to me because I remember thinking, do I really belong in the professional ranks? So am I really a professional level fighter? And I went up against a really good opponent from a very high level gym, one of the top gyms in the country. And when I won that fight, it solidified that in my mind, and I realized I belonged. I'd proven myself that I belonged in the professional ranking. I went on from there and I managed to get signed to some managers, and then got signed to Aries, which is France's biggest fight promotion. And I'm now 2-2 as an MMA fighter, as a professional. And there's more to come. I'm working on getting my next fights lined up. And I hope and pray that we're still at the beginning of this journey. There's still a long way to go and a lot to come. So remember, wherever you are, you may feel like that is the biggest moment in time right now. Where you are feels like the biggest moment in time right now. And there's so much happening, and maybe things feel impossible or they feel so far away. But when you set your sights on your goals and you go for it, I mean, really, really go for it. I'm not promising that you'll get it, that your dreams will come true and everything will work out the way you want. I promise you, when you set your sight on that thing that means so much to you, that you care so much about, you might not get it, but you'll be so much better off for trying.